Today I'm going to be removing and repainting my roof molding on my E46 M3. It is long overdue as far as the condition of this molding. So let's take it off. This one I already took off, so I just put it back in here to keep it in place. So that was really easy. Use a screwdriver with a microfiber towel. Get underneath here. Microfiber towel is not helping. So I scraped it up right there, unfortunately, but I'm going to paint it anyway. There we go, because you don't want to bend the metal. I'll take off the clips. And none of the clips are broken. Confirming. So I should be able to reuse them. I'm going to use an electric pressure washer to quickly get the moss and gunk out of these cracks and crevices. And flip and do it on the other side. I'll blast out these gutters also. I'm going to follow it up with a quick wipe down of denatured alcohol. Put a little effort into these cracks, make sure the masking tape sticks nicely. For the masking tape, I'm just going to go right here on the inside line. I'm just going to wedge it in like that. I'm going to try this in multiple sections rather than one long strip. It will be a little easier to get it to be accurate. So it has a clean takeaway line when it's all painted. That should work nicely. For the other side rubber, I found with the angle, it doesn't work for longer sections, so shorter sections are much easier just to wedge it in, kind of push down, and then fold over. Look it in, make sure it's really tight around the corners. Nice. All on. So the idea is I want this to be smooth. I don't really need to remove all the black material. The self-etching primer should be fine if it's painted or if it's aluminum. So I'm going to start with 240 to see what happens. Still rough. Scratch marks are pretty evident, so I don't want to spend a ton of time removing the scratch marks. Let me try 240 for a little bit more. Yeah, it just took a little longer to sand it smooth. For this sanding, throwing caution to the wind works really nicely. Just really getting into it, pushing, making sure I rotate to make sure there's fresh 240 grit, and checking. No reason to sand more than necessary, but that's able to get all the bumps off and make it feel really smooth. All finished with 240 grit sanding. This paint came off pretty easily, so I just went ahead and removed all the paint on this. And for this one, it was thicker and there's a lot more paint. I could easily just take a little bit more time and remove the paint on this, but actually I'm quite curious to see if it makes a difference at all. This is going to be higher in the car, and as long as it's black and shiny, I don't think it has to be ultra high, awesome perfection. And I'm actually curious if the extra work makes a difference. So if you're going to do this project and you have a lot of paint on there, maybe like this one, maybe just a quick sanding to make it smooth is all you need. Or if there's a noticeable difference, maybe it's worth it to sand all of the actual paint off to make it look clean and ready for a primer. Anyway, 320 is what I want to do before primer. Now with 320, I'm going to do a lot lighter. I don't have to really aggressively push, so it's a lighter sand coat, but also I don't have to, it's just kind of removing the sand marks. So this should be a much, much faster process, and as I do it, I'm going to be much easier and much smoother as I go through it. Just to take out some of the sand marks. And some paint will come off, so it's not like I have to leave paint on. But yeah. Just smooth it out a little bit. Ready for paint, excited. I'm gonna do 1 coat of self-etching primer, maybe 2, probably 2 coats of black, maybe 3, 2 or 3 coats of clear coat. Let's get to it. That looks pretty good. A couple of spots that look a little lighter than the rest. Yeah, I'll take this off. And so far I don't see any difference between the piece I put a lot of time in sanding into it and the piece I just did a light sanding. After it's primed, they look, as far as I can tell, identical. So just to make it smooth, it doesn't have to be all the paint removed. 1 coat was enough. I'm gonna go for a light coat of black. Well, it was dripping a little, but I found out why. The wide fan is touching here, and if I was holding it over the actual surface, it drips. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray the sides. So if it drips, it'll drip straight down. And also, the paint is grainy, and that's fine for a first coat. The reason why it's doing that, it's nice and warm, and the spray was far enough away that it starts to cure before it even touches the surface. So that actually graininess will help have it kind of grip for the next coat, which I'm going to start in a few moments. But I want to definitely go closer and a little heavier so it's smooth for the next coat or 2. Second coat. Third coat. Looks good. Ready for clear. Coat 2 clear. Third and final coat of clear. About an hour more of sunlight, at least sun that'll touch. See, it's kind of coming back up. Let it sit here for an hour and then I'll put it in the shed for the night. Paint is cured, ready to be sanded. It was ready after 24 hours. It's been a few days just because I didn't have time to get around to it right away. But here's an example of the spot that I did not sand to metal. You see there's a very small ridge, and under the perfect light I can barely notice it, where on this side is completely flat. So it does look better with the actual full sanding to sheet metal, but it's really hard to see, and this is even before sanding. The cool thing is the rails look really good and they're totally passable even right now. I could put these up and I'd be very happy with it because the slight texturing in the paint is not very noticeable there. The fact that it's black and shiny is a total win. So as I sand this, there's only 3 coats of clear coat. I'm going to be very cautious because I just want to make it look a little bit better. I don't want to remove the clear coat and have to paint this over again. I'm going to start with 1500 grit just to focus specifically on the high spots. There. That's been smoothed down. And I'll go just to those specific spots. With 2000 grit, I'm going to be focusing on texture reduction, not texture removal. Relieve a little bit of this texture right there. And also remove the 1500 sand marks. With the jump from 1500 to 2000, it removes the sand mark very easily, so I don't have to spend a lot of time. Or if I jump straight from 15 to 3000, which is definitely a doable jump, it's easier to do with a machine, a rotary orbital polisher, because you get a lot more passes, where by hand, the switch from 1500 to 3000 is a lot of bigger gaps. You just need to spend more time. But if you do a 500 grit split, it will be ready for the next step much faster. This looks good for 2000 grit. There is a little texture in between right there. The 2500 grit should take care of that just fine. I will continue 2000 on the rest of the rails. Nice, all finished with 2000 grit. Now with 2500 grit, the cool thing about going in the smaller step is it removes the 2000 grit sand marks really fast. And also it helps to remove just a tiny bit more texture because I didn't overstand with the 2000 grit. I can kind of just go into the 2500 grit with a little less caution and get a really good result very quickly. Yeah, nice. On to 3000 grit. Looks good after 3000 grit. I'm gonna use Chemical Guys Optical Grade Extreme Compound 32. Let's see if I can quickly get rid of these 3000 sand marks. Optical Grade Hybrid Compound 34 Chemical Guys. There we go. The Hybrid 34 is done. Now I'm going to 36 Optical Grade Cutting Polish. Onto Optical Grade Polish 38. Looks good to me. Now I'm going to take off the masking tape. All good. I gave them a quick pressure wash to get any polish out of the cracks and crevices. Right now here are the metal attachments and here are the clips. So just make sure the clips are lined up and then push/clip in place. Nice. Whew, that's good. Now on this side, line up the clips. Then push in place. Nice. There we go. Turned out looking really good. For rattle can painting, I'm a huge fan of using 1 coat of primer, 3 coats of black, and 3 coats of clear. The 7 coat total was not too much to where it had problems curing. Waiting 48 hours between the paint coat and the clear coat can be quite awkward and can develop a lot more problems with curing, which I found when I did the rear handle for my trunk. But yeah, huge plus to just doing it all at once, and it worked out really well. Yeah, this was a fun project, very affordable for the fact that I just needed to kind of take it apart, repaint it. No clips were needed. If you'd like more videos like this, or if you have any questions, let me know.